Thank you for joining us once again. This is Making Money, the podcast. My name is Priva, and I hope you're subscribing, you're sharing, you're liking, telling a friend to tell a friend, because every conversation concerning finances always happens right here. And we're going to be talking about mental health. In a world that is constantly changing and constantly evolving, I feel like there's a lot that is being demanded from us. And that means we have to make sure our mental health is a priority. So whether you're dealing with stress, whether it's anxiety, depression, this episode is for you. And joining me to help us unpack this is Eddie Gold-Mandi, the country director at DSIK, a non-governmental organization. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
For starters, is it now easier to have a conversation about mental health now versus back in the day?
Yes, things have changed. There's a lot of awareness that has been created regarding mental health. Before, it was something that we would not even want to talk about.
Yeah,
I know there are some people who still don't have to have the conversation, but we've come from a long way. We have moved a long way. If you get back, mental health was mostly taken to be witchcraft, and people would just go, looking for sources, for solutions somewhere else instead of seeking medical attention.
Yeah.
But we've drummed it bigger and higher, and people are now aware that there is a big animal in the room, or the white elephant in the room, called mental health, that we need to deal with, and we can deal with it medically. Instead of going to look for witch doctors somewhere.
I'm glad we've moved on from those times where we are thinking mental health is witchcraft, and now we're addressing the real issues as they're meant to be addressed. Take me back in the day. How did you get involved in mental health? Have you suffered a mental crisis yourself, or do you know a loved one that has been down the road of mental illness?
Yeah, going back, I can't tell you that I knew it was mental health, but I have a daughter who used to tell us a number of things that were happening into her life, and we would get shocked and wouldn't know the explanation.
Yes.
And I want to believe that even some of the doctors at the time were not so much into mental health, because we moved to quite a number of doctors, and it took long to identify that she was actually having a mental health challenge. So should see things that we wouldn't see. For instance, would be seated all talking and laughing, and you'd see her jumping that she has seen a cat. Then would be somewhere and you see her replying to someone we don't see, and she'd say, "Oh, someone is calling me." And it was quite disturbing. As a mother, I was lost for words. But I kept on going to the doctors, and then she would also tell us that in class she would find herself being taken away and coming back and seeing all those rainbow colors as she gets back. She would tell you how someone has taken her to the mountains and they were beating her, and she'd come with all the pains. But and there would be physical pains to her. So it was quite difficult to identify what it was. And that was around the age of 6-8. So it was around of the age of 12 that were able to see a psychiatrist. And at that time, he gave us treatment, but at the same time, they didn't tell us that it was even for mental health.
Yeah.
And they didn't tell us that once this medicine is done, you need to come. So we took it like any other medicine. And she continued with her challenges. Yes. It was a lot later, like around age of 14, that we were able to realize and be able to get a doctor that really pointed us in the direction of mental health treatment.
From a caregiver's perspective, what are the challenges that come with watching a loved one go through that, minus it being so disturbing and very hard on you?
Yeah, it's quite challenging because it is energy consuming, and you have to be intentional about protecting your own mental health, because you have to be strong for the person. I can't say that it is easy. You shed a tear once in a while, seeing your loved one suffer in a way that you can't help, but with continued reading and talking to other people and getting exposed, you try to get tools. You learn tools by yourself on how to survive, because you have to be the support. You can't, show that person that you're desperate. Because if you're desperate and the person is desperate, then what happens? So somehow you get to learn, at least I was able to learn, to be strong, to be there, to be present whenever I'm needed, and even when I'm not needed. So it hasn't been easy, but it's something that I've come to learn to do. And maybe before, but people wonder, what is this mental health?
Yes, because my next question was, how exactly do people suffer from mental health? Let's break the misconceptions.
Yes. Before we get there, you see, every one of us, and we need to talk about it openly. We talk about our physical health.
Yes.
When you feel pain, you want to run to the doctor.
Yes.
When you knock a stone and you see blood, you want to go for first aid. This is physical pain. But we also need to know that we need to have mental health where we are able to contribute to achieve our abilities, to contribute to society productively, to be able to withstand the normal stresses of life and move on. So short of that, if someone can't stand the normal stresses, if someone can't be productive, if someone cannot be able to achieve what they have planned to achieve, there is always a problem.
Yeah.
And the problem is to do with the mental health. It has to be if someone either is emotionally drained. Sometimes we get too tired, or someone has anxiety, or someone has depression, or someone is just stressed. And that is, some of these things can be dealt with in a short time and go away, and others you need to take long term to deal with them. So if we don't give it time, if we don't really understand, sometimes we get pulled into that direction and we don't even understand. Many people who have mental health challenges don't actually know. It's only us around them that need to make sure we encourage them to seek help.
Break it down for us. How does mental health intertwine with finances? How can finances contribute to people actually suffering from mental health?
Even the normal person who is not suffering from mental health, we always have these financial stresses.
Yes.
We need to plan. We need to get this. We need to get that. We need to, make money. And that stress alone, if you're not mentally strong, that stress alone can put you down.
Yes.
So if you are even mentally challenged and you get these stresses, they become triggers to even go into a worse situation. So normally what is done is that we need to find a way of managing these stresses. We need to find a way of understanding what triggers us to go into that direction. Now, if you're a business person and you are looking for money and you can't get it, and you are not mentally strong,
yes,
you find that people are, they get down and they even make poor decisions. But once you are mentally strong, and maybe you see, like the way we get these fires in town and the shop is burnt down, the person will be able to get up and start looking for ways of getting extra money to do business. But if you're mentally not well, it will take you down. You'll find that someone has gone to sleep for months and months. So there is a difference that comes in when a person you're dealing with is mentally strong and the other one is not strong. So when it comes to finances, we need to have what I would call financial boundaries. Like if we are now going into the festive season.
Yes.
So people have this pressure of either sending money home, making sure that their lovely ones are catered for.
Yes.
Even when you don't have enough. So what we need to do is to draw what we call financial boundaries. You need to know where to stop when it comes to giving.
Yes.
It's not a must that you must give. You can't give what you don't have. So we have to set financial boundaries to be able to manage our financial stresses.
Much better. You talked about the issue of finances, and let's assume many people are working, they have well-paying jobs, gainful employment. Do you think having mental health practices at workplaces would help ease the burden that comes with people breaking down in the long run?
Yeah, well said. We need to actually, every institution should be able to take their staff through, or should be able to know what contributes to the mental strength of their staff. You see, we've talked about productivity.
Yes.
So if mental health at workplaces is not catered for, then the productivity of the company will also go low.
Very low.
Yes, and when the staff are also having those challenges and their productivity is getting low, then you start issuing them with the either warning letters or performance improvement plans, and that one will take them further. So it's better to understand mental health at workplaces, where we shall equip the staff to understand the level at which they are in terms of their mental stress.
Yes.
And also the people who manage like the HR staff who manage the people, to be able to know, to be able to understand the stresses that their staff go through and be able to help them. Right now, actually, most of the organizations have employed counselors.
Yes.
And you find that if once they learn that someone who has been performing and is not now performing, the HR will step in and they get these people to see the counselors, so that you find that at least the mental health at workplace is taken care of. Yes.
So for the people who don't have the advantage of having a mental health awareness being spread in their workplaces, what can they do to make sure their mental health is in check? Because when was it? I was actually on Google trying to see how much therapists and counselors earn per session, and it is quite expensive, almost like 400,000 for a session, which might be quite high for the ordinary Ugandan. So how can they keep their mental health in check without having to spend that much money?
We have to make sure, as institutions, they should have policies that embed mental health tools. I would say a policy that encourages speaking up. So that when people have issues, they're able to speak up. And in terms of money, when you bring a counselor, and that counselor is on retainer in an institution,
yes,
then the charges, their charges become a little bit accommodative or bearable, if I can use that word. So you find that what an individual would be spending talking to a private counselor and what they are going to pay in if you consolidate it for the people at work, it will be quite bearable. It will be quite cheaper than seeing a counselor on their own. So, but to do this, the institutions must be aware that their institution is as strong as the staff's mental health. Once you have staff that are not mentally strong, and these days it is even worse. It's like I don't know whether it's because of the foods we eat. These days what do you call this generation? Gen Z?
Gen Z, yeah.
Oh, they can't manage stress. In our days when I started working, a supervisor would, do whatever and,
talk to you anyhow.
And you would continue working. But these days, you see the children, these young ones, resigning.
They will prioritize their mental health, so rather leave a job than stay there and be depressed.
So instead of getting this far, people need to learn how to handle people, the people skills. Some supervisors or leaders get to that level, but without soft skills. So what I advise institutions to do is to identify, during their succession planning, once they identify the level of leaders or those to be leaders, then they need to equip them with soft skills to learn how to handle people, to learn how to interpret what they are doing, so that at the end of the day, you have a staff that is, well equipped, and they can manage the daily stresses of life and also the tasks.
Yes.
We used to multitask quite a lot, but multitasking is fading away. Once you tell a Gen Z to multitask, they look at you, they don't understand. It's like you are mistreating them. And it's because maybe their mental strength, the mental strength we had then as we were growing up, is not what they have now. I don't know what has happened, whether it is diet, whether it is the circumstance, whether it is exposure, but something has happened.
No, they're just
definitely.
ambassadors of soft life. They would rather embrace the soft life and less suffering. And if anything, I feel like the world has also gotten easier for them. They have gadgets to use to make their work easier here and there.
Like I talked about seeking help when you have mental health issues. We should also seek help when it comes to financial planning.
Yes.
They are those who can. They are financial advisors. And for my parents in the villages, my sisters in the villages, we have like circles now coming up all over. And in there are staff who are aware. So you go there and consult them and then they take you through how you can be able to save, how you can be able to manage your finances. Then we also need to set achievable goals.
Yeah.
Once we set goals that are above our finances, then they will give us that pressure. But once you set achievable goals, and of course according to your pocket,
yes,
and then you achieve them, every time we achieve, we become happy. And happiness is part of the treatment we have for mental health.
Yes.
Then there is a lot that is also happening. We need to prioritize our sleep. Yes, on average, at the young age, people should not sleep for less than 6 hours.
Wow.
Yes, good sleep takes the body into the relaxation mode and prepares it to do the work the following day.
It's like a nice reset.
Yes, it's a reset actually. Sleeping is a reset. If you don't sleep, you don't sleep, and for maybe you get less sleep for like a week, you hear people talking about sleep deficit, and they come to office, you can't concentrate.
You can't be productive.
You can't concentrate. You can't be productive. So we need to do that. But for our people who are in the villages, there's quite a lot that is happening. They work a lot, and yet when we come to buying their produces, we buy at a cheaper price.
Yeah.
So we also, those who are doing the buying need also to be considerate, and they give a good price for them to continue surviving.
They should be,
they continue surviving. But what do they do with that little money? They need also to plan, because you find that sometimes when they get that money, they also plan differently. That's when they want to go and drink. That's when they want to go
get another wife.
They increase on the number, and then the children come in, and then they can't. So you find that they're in that cycle of poverty, because they can no longer they can't handle one family, now another family comes on. So there is a lot of excitement that goes in when people get money, and then it goes within a short time. And after that, so when you are planning, you have to cover the whole, if you are on a monthly basis, you have to know that you have to, apart from saving, you cover up to the next time you get the salary.
Yes.
And you see, another thing that is causing financial pressure, because we don't plan well, you find that we are running to get money from money lenders.
From institutions, money lending institutions.
Money lenders. The interest is so high that if you really go into counting, you find that the profit, the interest you're paying cannot even be the profit you're making even in the business. So you find that even in the villages, people have started learning, getting to these money lenders. They call them kafuna. And you find that some families have actually run away from their villages because they can't pay, and they no longer have what to sell. Just because they borrow without a plan. And after misusing the money, they can't pay back. You only borrow when you see that money you are borrowing is going to give you the cash flows to pay back. So you find that people are really running away from the villages. Then mobile money has come. They keep on saying I have messages running on my phone that I can pick 2 million.
Oh yes.
Now,
Yeah,
Up
the
to
mobile
2 million,
money
yes.
has really...
So I called, I was talking to one of the people I was with. I said, you see, because the person was like, get that money, give it to me, and then I'll pay it to you. Then I said, why can't you get it? He said, me, I can't be able to get that money.
Don't qualify.
Yes. So I said, let's look at it. When you apply for 2 million, how much do they give you? The net, it's 1.6. So 400,000 goes into the what? The expenses. Which business in a month is going to get, if you get 400,000 over 2 million, that is about what percent? That is about 20%. Okay? Mm-hmm. Which business is giving you the 20% what? Markup. So you find that you've already put in money that you are not going to get. When it comes to payment, you can't pay.
You also can't pay back.
Then the pressures come in. We've gotten lots of mental breakdown that have come from financial pressures.
And I feel like also those money lending entities have also even made it worse, because they'll call your mother, call your everybody around you. They're all getting affected because one person decided to borrow money that they can't pay back.
Yeah, they don't mind. They will recover at any cost.
Yeah.
So we need to be mindful of where we are, of how we make our financial decisions, and who we choose to deal with.
Yes.
If you are doing business, go to the bank. If you are into the circles, the microfinance, but you need to, by the time you get the loan, you know that you have this money that is going to pay it. Because money lenders don't go into cash flows. Mm-mm. They look at your security, and
just
before you know it,
money,
your things are gone.
Yeah.
So that's how some of the people have gotten mental breakdown, and they end up losing what they have.
Yes.
Now with the Gen Z, a number of us, of our children, because they've seen, they are now mixed. Even when we were growing up, we were studying with the rich, but you only need to know to go to your corner. But now, because of this exposure, children want to have the same life with us as others.
Yes.
Then they end up getting tempted into going into drugs. If you go to these mental health sanctuaries, you'll be surprised the people you find there.
Yeah.
They've gone there because of financial pressures. They find themselves doing drugs and selling drugs and doing drugs. And this has really put them. So we need to live within the means. We need to understand what we are and be that.
And drugs are expensive. They're expensive. So the more you're spending on them, you're actually even making yourself poorer in the sense.
Those expensive drugs, people might survive them.
Ew.
But what is happening, because now they are already influenced, they go even for whatever they can. And there are those ones which are poor, they mixed. If you talk to them and you find what they are taking, it's not worth a human being taking.
Oh, wow.
So that is what is happening also in the side of the pressures we get.
Kids do not do drugs, okay? Not even just kids, everybody.
Alcohol.
You can find yourself being an alcoholic in the sense as you're trying to fight your depression. So speak up when you have to, sleep when you can get a chance to. So Mandy, how can one take care of their mental health amidst financial pressures coming from left and right?
Okay, thank you for that question. Financial pressures will always be there, because they are part and part of life.
Yeah.
Life has never been that simple. We have to sail through mud, through water, through, it can be straightforward. It can be, difficult.
You even have to go through Kampala's dust.
Yes, dust and the potholes and all that. So yes, financial pressures are always there, whether you have this much money or even small.
Yes.
It becomes even very bearing when even you don't have quite enough. But what I encourage us to do is to to focus on what we have and budget for it accordingly. Focus on what we have, living within our means.
Yeah.
Sometimes we want to copy other people's lives. and yet we can't paste them. So you find that so-and-so is driving this car, so-and-so is eating like this, so-and-so has done this, and you want to live like them, when actually the means that we have is different.
Yes.
So we need to focus on what we have and live within our means. Then we have to prioritize our spending. What is important, because we cannot cover everything.
Yeah.
The needs are this. I remember in economics they used to teach us about the needs and the wants. So the wants can be so many, but what do we actually need?
Yes.
And then we prioritize it accordingly. Once we do that, we'll be reducing pressure, because any pressure of any kind will definitely act on our mental health.
Yeah.
Will destabilize us. You find that someone is missing to sleep, someone loses appetite, someone cannot even go out and be with friends because we are under pressure. And these days I hear people using stress quite a lot, but I don't think they understand what they are talking about. I'm stressed. Stress can be stress. So to avoid all this is to see what we have and what we can do. Then we need to take care of ourselves. If you find that you are having some kind of pressure, you are dealing with it, you have to make sure that at least you maintain your physical health.
Yes.
You have to do exercises, you have to walk, you have to eat good diet, good food. I don't want some of these restaurants to come for me. I feel for Uganda.
Yeah.
And Ugandans.
Yeah.
This chicken, they dip in oil and you get it and you are squeezing it. You get a spoon of oil out of it, and this is what we are eating. It's really working on our health.
Yes.
It doesn't. And the more we stress our bodies, the more our mental health is also affected.
So you talked about the issue of food and people eating these processed foods left and right. How best can Ugandans utilize their food basket? Because we really quite have a lot of food, from matoke to sweet potatoes, to Irish, to yams. There's a lot. How best can they utilize that? Yeah.
I don't have to eat chips to be able to eat Irish potatoes. You can have them, you can boil them with peas, you can boil them with beans, yeah? But you find, and I think that's what is happening to our Gen Z, because we are feeding them a lot with this. And very soon, if we are not careful, we shall see a lot of, it's called what? Obesity cases growing. Why should we do that? We have quite a big basket of food. We have Irish, we have sweet potatoes, we have cassava. Make sure that at least one of the breakfasts, you have your cassava there. You don't have to eat bread all the time. Yeah, you don't have to eat bread all the time. In our treatment, I've told you I'm a carer.
Yes.
We have been told to avoid such processed food because they also, they affect the body, which again puts more pressure on someone's health, mental health. So we need to make sure that we eat well and take care of ourselves with exercises amidst these pressures.
Yes.
And we also need to learn, I've already talked about it actually, living within our means. Prioritize. What are you going to do with your money this month? Are you paying rent? Are you paying a loan? Are you paying whatever you're paying? Put them down. Then see what you must do. And that's what you do. Otherwise, if you don't, at the time of payment, then you'll again face these pressures. Pressure is not good for our mental health, whether it is financial or any kind, but we need to live to make sure that we acknowledge it and we live accordingly.
With our means. But as we wrap up the conversation, are there any daily practices that you use to make sure your mental health is in check, you as an individual?
Yes. One, first of all, you have to appreciate
yes.
that you need to have good mental health for everything to be good. So you have to make sure your emotions, you know how to manage them. You have to learn how to be resilient, so that even if the strong winds come, you know that they have come and they will go. Then you need to keep standing. You need to do positive affirmations. Some of those who have suffered negative comments,
yes,
you need to go back and make it positive. If someone, for instance, there are people whom someone can comment about my size and I don't feel comfortable, but I look at myself in the mirror, I'll say, oh, I'm beautiful, this size is okay. I do positive affirmations before I go. Then even mentally, you need to say you're strong. Positive affirmation is in all, but if you don't do that, you end up being swayed by what you find out there. So there are lots of materials that we need to look at. There are lots of readings that one can do and be able to know more about mental health.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Eddie Gold. Any final words to our viewers?
I want to tell our viewers that mental health is for real, and we need to know that even when we are not strong financially, it can bring out stresses of life that we might not be able to handle. We need to plan for our finances properly, so that when we have emergencies, we are able to handle them, because normally what also brings stress is when you have bills to cover and you are not able to cover them, and yet you are the person who is supposed to be covering them. Then we also need to know that mental health challenges exist. We need to seek mental health. We need to seek medical help, and we need to learn to speak up. If you are out there and you get up in the morning and you feel your mood, you feel something is changing, and you feel you don't want to do the things you used to do, or you are not enjoying the things you used to enjoy, know that there's something that is happening in your life. You need to seek medical help. You need to find out somebody to talk. We need to learn to be accountable to one another, an accountability sister or an accountability brother, whether it is to do with finances, whether it's to do with emotions. You have to learn to get someone to speak to.
That knowledge you just had came from Eddie Gold Monday. She's the country director of DSIK. And just like you had, mental health is real and it's amongst us. Give yourself enough grace if you're dealing with some mental crisis. It's okay. Speak up, just like she said. You'll be able to find help one way or another. We'll be returning for another exciting episode of Making Money right here, the podcast. So make sure you're subscribing and liking as well. Until then, God bless.